The last couple of years have been interesting since the whole scamdemic stuff. Besides watching what people are doing, in their response or lack of response in the whole current situations of political issues, scamdemic, um, and the spiritual journey. People would always ask me, why do you talk about politics so much? Why do you talk about, current affairs so much? Well, those are the things that can cause either the gateways and opportunities for people to open up and really advance collectively as human beings, or it can be the things that stop us collectively, have us stressed out and distracted by fearful issues. All that's important. Life is political. Life takes resources. Some ways I look at life as a business. It's always that effort going out to survive and some kind of negotiations in nature. But then during these times too, I see that when things get rough, people will take more of a spiritual path, trying to figure out, what's going on. Is there a purpose behind it? They want to figure it out. They want to be part of something bigger than themselves, and they look for opportunities to do that. And sometimes they're just curious. You get the people that look around and see all the distress. You see the anguish and suffering that's going on, and some people in their core they just want to help. They don't know how, but they're willing to do anything that helps the situation. And so many people, in these times come towards shamanism and thinking about serving apprenticeships, becoming that shaman. And then today, a couple questions came up from people and like, what kind of people really want to be shamans? First, I need to separate two things. The New Age shaman, that's out there in the mainstream, that's entertainment and entertainment purposes only. And then the stuff that I and others like me consider to be real shamanism, and that's the real work behind the scenes while you're living in between the worlds. So they say, what kind of a person wants to be the shaman? For the most part, is the person that really wants to do something good, make really positive changes, wants to help the people, wants to be part of something, like I said earlier, bigger than themselves, a purpose. These are people who are loyal by their nature, loyal to humanity, loyal to a good cause. There's a small percentage of people that cause most of the damage, and they're the ones that are in there for the power and the money and the fame and all the glory that comes along with being the savior, the chosen one, I suppose. But what's really interesting is the parts that these people play. Meaning, so I described as a core of what kind of person wants to be the shaman. But then it's the wrapper outside that. It's the interesting part too. So for a while, it could be the young, like in the 80s, the young idealist. That was the big thing. I picked the 80s first because that's when it was like really hot and heavy. Shamanism was coming back, and it was really strong in the 60s, with the Constantata books and so on. And it just goes through these folds. So in the 60s, it was the hippies. In the 70s, it was the rehabbed hippies, spiritual hippies. At the same time, it was going back into Christianity, Jesus Christ Superstar, very early 70s. And then the 80s just kind of flaked off, literally flaked off the mirror and the razor blade, so to speak. And it was all about the individual and fuck spirituality and shamanism, nature, and all that. The 90s, it started to roll back around, late 80s, early 90s, and that's when it started to really pick up. And the people then were these hot and heavy idealistic people that we're going to make the change. It's like, okay. And by the turn of the century, it was a lot of those people got older, allegedly wiser, um, with their little groups. Everybody wanted to have the center, the healing center, the spiritual center, and so it became a joke. But in between all these phases was this core thread that moved serpent like a serpent through all the ages and through all the obstacles. And those were the true shamanic people that were in it for the long haul. They changed their own wrappers, and but the people who came into that flow and traveled a little while and then went back out of it, those are the ones that were in it for a seemingly divine purpose, even if it was just temporary, a couple months, a couple years, and they cause a really, really strong positive impact. So now what I'm seeing, it's really interesting the extremes that these rappers are. On one side, we see the younger women that are really coming into shamanism, really feeling something beyond the new age stories of goddess energy and the spirits and angels and fairies. These women are a little bit more empowered and really more self disciplined and driven, ones that are really wanting to push. Just let me show me how much I can endure and make me that fine sword, that fine tool, that fine teacher. Like, okay, we can do that. And then on the other side, it's surprising to see more men my age in their 60s that hadn't had much training, kind of played around with it a little bit now and then, but now they're just like, it's time for me to be serious about something, and I'm serious about this. So this is the first time I've seen that type of an extreme. But these are people, oh, and I'm getting a lot of single mothers, more than I've ever seen coming towards shamans, lots of single mothers. And that is a special breed in itself, because for to be that single mom and have like a good kid that's just not a spoiled brat, she has to have a bit of a militaristic mentality or an air about her to be in command of the home, to make sure her daughters grow up to be balanced and aware females, and the sons grow up to be real men, not mommy's boys. But these are the women too that are really driven, disciplined. So these are some interesting times that I'm watching. I start everybody off on a couple simple exercises that I've talked about, but now I'm eating posts a couple times a week that are made by people who say, "Yeah, I'm ready to commit," and I haven't seen that. And like I said, I finished my apprenticeship in 1978 and been doing this daily ever since then, and I've never seen the extremes of the people that are coming into committing to the shamanic path, committing to apprenticeships, and the caliber of the commitment is really unique. That I can just feel it, how serious they are. And it's a really nice thing to see as I'm in my downhill slide, as I know I'm on my way out of shamanism and out of life. If I have another 20 years, I think I'd be blessed. But it's been a wonderful ride, and I'm really happy to see these changes, and the things happening. If you got questions, if you're thinking about, if this is a place for you, if you'd like to do the shamanic path, whether it be shamanic practitioner, shamanic healer, the full ranking shaman after a full apprenticeship, I'm proud to say I have other shamans that I've trained all the way to second generations, meaning I trained one who trained another. A nice network of people, uh, varied people and skill sets to help other people get started. Leave a comment and be serious about it, because I get a lot of people also say, "Yeah, I'm serious. I'm reaching out to you. Tell me what I need to do to get started," and then I don't hear from them. Just wasting time. Don't do that. I'm busy. But for those of you that are serious, you can also write me at shamaniclodge@gmail.com or leave a comment here, and we'll do some video chats. But I can tell you, if you're looking to do a lateral career move, that that you'd like to have a long, adventurous career, you like to travel, if you're a healthy person, and you can be somewhat active, that's a plus. But I can promise you there's too much work. As depression rises, suicide rises, hopelessness in general rises, people need people to guide them in a really positive way. And by the way, here's a quick, I'm going to make this video too long, but some of the qualifications to be a good shaman, and I want you guys to pay attention to this because so many people look at their past and go, I don't know if I can do this. I got a kind of a dark past. Yeah, one day I'll divulge my list of darkness and some of the other people that are the best in the world that I've ever been privileged to work with. All of us have dark paths. All of us are very okay with our dark side. We've all made best friends with our beast. If you've had that dark side, and if you've been down into the bottom of humanity through your own misadventures, more than likely you have some experiential learning that you can share with others to help them dig themselves out of the hole that they put themselves in, or you have the understanding from your own experiences to be able to help people out of situations or prevent them from going deeper into their own darkness with no return. Don't sell yourself short just because you had a bad history. You could be one of the most qualified people out there to take on this path as a career. There's too many foo-foo people out there that go to a bunch of courses, got certificates they put up on their I love me wall, and talk about all the places that they went to. Big fucking deal. Okay? If you can't talk from the dirt, if you can't talk from your own darkness, if you can't really admit, your mishaps and miscalculations and mistakes as lessons and actually say, this is what I learned from that, you don't have the authenticity to work with the people, that are down in the bottom, that need that long arm to help them up. And more people are going there because just the social environment's pulling people down. And they don't have the proper guidance to help them place their footing in life changes so they don't fall down there. So I would love to see more people take this path on as a career. I'd love to see more people really graduate their apprenticeships and be serious about it, because you have to be committed to an everlasting series of personal changes. Every year you could do 180 degrees, be a completely different person because of the depth and intensity you're working. If that seems appealing to you, yeah, try shamanism. You'll like it. Sometimes it's years of agonizing boredom interrupted by moments of fleeting awe, and then it's back to everyday life again. That's just part of the rhythm. That's about all for now. I think in closing, I want to always express the gratitude that I've had for my life, my shamanic life. I wouldn't trade it for anything.